Yeah, welcome into another episode of Capturing the Game. It's the Game Within the Game podcast featuring me, your host, Desmond Jones, and my man, the one and only Jawan Polo Man Stewart. Today we got another fabulous guest on today's podcast. But before we get into it, let's go ahead and remind the audience and subscribers and listeners that Capturing the Game podcast is presented by Capture Squares Agency, where the CEO and founder is Shaunta Smith Jones. Now that we got the introductions out the way, let's go ahead and talk about today's guest. Today, we bring you the team operations manager from the Connecticut Suns. His name is Peter Feeney. Peter, how are you doing today?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, no, thank you for hopping on. It's super exciting. Always, I don't know. I'll take it. I find a great joy to always talk to other people that's within the W. Especially other men that's within the W, because I feel as though that the W doesn't get enough love that it should.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I think it's getting better. It's growing that way, but any exposure that anyone could bring to our great league is always appreciated.
Yes, for sure. Of course.
Well, now Peter, go ahead and tell us about yourself.
Yeah, like Desmond said, I'm Peter Feeney. I'm from Newington, Connecticut, right outside of Hartford. Grew up there, played basketball, always loved sports. I went to University of Connecticut, where I was a practice player for the women's basketball team there for 4 years. Around some really great teams, like Brianna Stewart, Morgan Tuck, Mariah Jefferson. That's my grade. So, a lot of success there. Just learning from them, being at practice, absorbing, all the wisdom of those great players, coaches, staff, all that. So that's kind of where I started. And then through that, I became a practice player for the Connecticut Sun. While I was doing that, I was interning also with UConn with their video coordinator, Ben Cantor. Just kind of learning how to break down film, different strategies, different, technologies that way. Through that and through the Connecticut Sun, I became equipment manager. So, interviewed and they gave me that job. And that was kind of like my stepping stone, my way in, just learning as much as I can from everyone, not knowing how to be an equipment manager. So asking as many people as I could, talking to people around the league, like how to do this job. And it was a grind. And then, went back and forth between there, Boston University, and now I'm full-time with the Connecticut Sun as team operations manager, doing a little bit of video as well.
So you're a Husky.
I am a Husky. I am. Connecticut through and through.
So how is that? Like because, people from the outside know of the dominance and the greatness of Connecticut, Gino, and the rest of the teams that he's had from Maya Moore all the way up until now with the current injuries that he does have with his this new team. But how is it? Like, what can you give us insight on Connecticut that maybe not everyone else knows from the outside looking in?
There's just I haven't been around like hundreds of college programs. I've been around UConn, been around BU, been to practices of other colleges, other teams, and different WNBA, all that. One thing I will say is just it's kind of the thing that they built there. You're expected to be great. So it's like the expectation there is to go in and like have a positive attitude, like work your butt off, talk, do everything right, little things, cuts, passes have to be on the money, like everything. They really do kind of have like a well-oiled machine there. And it starts from the bottom up. They have a ton of student managers, practice players. They have their GAs, their administrative assistants, video, like from the bottom up. There's just that expectation. So I think that's the big thing with them and their sustained success. And also, obviously the talent that they can bring in and year out, which adds to that, I guess, that they're able to, bring in all these great players. Right now they got Paige, AZ, they got Kristen, all those players, the reason why they're successful.
I would say this is probably the first time we've seen UConn in a vulnerable state, if that's the key word to use, I guess.
It's crazy.
Yeah, because we've never seen them kind of, they lost. Like, oh, okay, it's been 180 games when the last time they lost, or whatever. It's like, oh, they lost 2. Something going on in UConn? Like, what's
Yeah, and it's crazy because they've really only lost like twice or 3 times in the season. It's like, what's going on? They're humans.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So I guess even another question would be, I guess even does like Gino, you being like on the practice team, practice player, I guess he held you to the same standard as he did his players?
Yeah. Typically the GA would be kind of in charge of the practice team, and then like as practice would start, we do like individual type of drills, 2-on-2, 3-on-3 with players. Then yeah, I mean, like you had to pay attention, you had to be, locked in, do exactly as you're told. Yeah, so I mean, I wouldn't say that like we wouldn't have to run plays quite as well as they did, because they're practicing it 2-3 hours a day, whereas we're learning something the day of, kind of incorporating it. But yeah, there is that, like you said, that expectation of being locked in, listening, and not trying to showboat or anything like that. Like both teams, both practice team, regular team, like move the ball, play the game the right way. And that was kind of the expectation there.
So Desmond, basically what he said is he's pretty good at basketball. That's what I'm hearing.
I've been knew that, man.
He's pretty good at basketball. That's all I'm hearing. He's pretty good at basketball.
Not compared to them.
What? Well, you pushed them somehow, some way. So I got to give you kudos for that. So I mean, they did. You did something.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. In other words, if he was to play at 21 with me and Juwan, he would probably win.
Probably.
I don't know. Anything could happen. Someone gets hot, and that's the end of it. There's no rules in 21. There's no rules. You could tackle people in 21. So
that's true.
That's true. So, so how did you fall in love with the women's game? So obviously, when you started working at UConn, that wasn't the first thing that you were doing. Like going through, like looking through, like career and profile stuff. You've done plenty of other things leading up to, being a assistant or being a practice player. So, how did you fall in love with the game?
I think there's a few answers to that question. So, being from Connecticut, obviously, like UConn is quote unquote, basketball capital of the world. They got the men's and the women's team combining for, I think it's like 15 national championships in my lifetime, pretty much. So, there's that aura around them. They're like our professional team, or those two teams are our professional teams, quote unquote. So growing up, obviously like Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, and then like later on, like Tina Charles, Maya Moore, just watching them. And that coupled with, having 2 sisters, I don't have any brothers. So, I got 2 sisters that I grew up like, playing against. Like when I was little, my older sister, I would play like one-on-one with her. And then when my little sister got older, playing one-on-one against her, trying to like train her, get her better. So, being from that competitive household of strong women, plus being from Connecticut, I think those 2 things really like paved the way for me. And then when I got to Connecticut, like I didn't even know really that they had a men's practice team for the women's team. Like I played high school basketball, played in the rec center at UConn. And then my freshman year RA, like it's crazy how the world works. Like the RA from my freshman year dorm at UConn was a practice player. He put me in touch with the GA at the time, who's now an assistant coach at Vanderbilt, Kevin DeMille. And it's just how crazy how all that works. Got to try out, made the team, and once I was in there, I was like, I'm not giving this up. Scheduled my classes around it, just tried to be there as much as possible. Even at that time, I didn't really know I wanted to be in basketball, but being around it more and more, I'm like, I could see myself doing something like this. I don't know what it looks like, but like try to be there as much as possible.
Yeah, that's amazing. I know if I had a spot like that, I ain't giving that up neither. I'm like, what? You need me when? Where? What time? All right, let's go.
Exactly. Like
Like,
6 a.m. workouts, I was there for sure.
oof, I don't know about 6 a.m.
Gotta be dedicated, Desmond. Has to be dedicated.
You
So
got
at 6
you
a.m. you
got
gotta
it.
be dedicated. Okay.
Ooh, I think I just reneged on that.
Yeah. And look, I've been on
Careful.
the manager grind, so I know what it's like to kind of be always, you got to be available for the team type of thing. I get it. So
For sure. Yeah.
All right, so tell us a little bit about being, when we did your title, we introduced you as a operations manager for the Connecticut Suns. Tell the audience a little bit about what it means to be the team operations managers and what goes into that.
Yeah. So like with the WNBA, everyone pretty much has a similar team operations manager. I know you guys interviewed Amanda Miller from Dallas. Like she does a lot of operations and equipment. There's other teams that it's strictly operations. There's other teams, like ours, it's operations and video. With the WNBA, there's everyone kind of has to wear multiple hats. And I think that's what kind of makes the league special. That there's people that are multi-talented, can handle 2, 3, 4, 5 things at once. So in my role, I started out, like I said, as equipment manager, so I have a good background in that. I kind of manage the equipment. I don't really do day-to-day laundry, like setting practice loops out in the locker room, but some bigger stuff like the big Nike order we have to do every year, like I'm a big part of that. And then in terms of operations, it's practice scheduling, being in communication with our practice facility and our arena, flights, bus, hotel, all that kind of logistical stuff. And then also wanting to get more into the basketball side of things, I would say either assistant or like head video coordinator per se. Like it's not technically my title, but breaking down film during the game, giving halftime edits to our coach, doing like analytics. We talked before this about, I use Huddle Sports Code for our software, cutting, clipping, organizing clips for our coaches. And, I have my own scout, getting more into player development. So there's a lot of different things that I'm doing. And that's a case. I'm not special in that way. Like that's a case around our team and around the league. And it's great. Like I love what I do. It's a grind, but it's awesome.
I'm assuming last season for you was probably a little rough because of how it ended. But
for sure the ending was not, not what we wanted, but had an awesome season. First in the league at 26-6, had the MVP, had 4 all defensive players, 2 first team. We had most improved, 3 all-stars. Like it was an awesome year, regular season. And then, Chicago got hot. We knew the entire year, their record didn't reflect how great of a team they were. They're an awesome team when healthy. When Candace was playing, they were winning. Like, and they had other injuries during the season too, and they gelled at the right time and got hot, and they earned that. But definitely doesn't take away the sting of it.
Yeah, and it never does. But yeah, definitely Chicago had a great year. So did the Suns, as you mentioned, with all the accolades that team won and whatnot. It kind of sucks to see them go out the way that they did during that. It happens like you said, Chicago got high at the right minute.
Yeah, a couple things go a different way in that series, and it looks a little different, but that's kind of how that goes. You gotta, every possession matters, and they came out on top. And it happens, and we'll try our best to moving forward to prevent things like that from happening.
Yeah. With you being with working with analytics and whatnot, what's a stat or what's something that that people or fans may not know about when it comes to analytics and basketball?
I would say, you know, a big part of analytics that I didn't know about going in, like I knew there's, you know, a lot of numbers involved and like different things like that. But, you know, talking to different coaches and especially our coach loves numbers, Kurt Miller, like big numbers guy. So he loves seeing different stats and analytics, whether it's our offense, defense, like personnel lineups, play calls, different things like that. Making it, you know, if like a listener here is trying to get into that type of thing, I would say, you know, make sure you understand it enough to not dumb it down, but, you know, make it more manageable for someone looking at it to, you know, understand what they're looking at. So like it might be, you know, I look at this stuff all day, you know, so I know what I'm thinking and talking about, but, you know, making it something that's relatable and then actionable for the team is something that's really important. And, you know, NBA teams, they have like teams of analytics people, but, you know, in the W, it's like me and our basketball intern, you know, so we have to kind of really focus on what we think is important and then, you know, automate things that are to make it more manageable. And that's kind of the stuff I do in the off season, is try to like think of ways to cut 10 minutes here, 20 minutes here, because that kind of all that adds up, especially in the season we have coming up with, we have 36 games in like 92 days. It's going to be a jam-packed season.
Yeah, so that kind of brings back to one question I wanted to ask you about was, you know, how has the new schedule, you know, impacted the way that you operate and the way that you have to go about doing things?
Yeah, so, you know, as I told you kind of before we got on, I'm like in the process of getting all our flights ready and all that kind of stuff. So it's huge. It's really huge. And, you know, there's with this like short schedule, there's less practice time. Or if you're practicing, you're not going to practice quite as long because we have stretches of like 8 games in 15 days, you know, on the road, 3 games in 4 days on the road. We have a back-to-back on the road going from Vegas to Phoenix. You know, preparing for these games is tough. And like, especially with our team, we're a big, you know, film, like we probably watch the most film in the league. If not the most, then, you know, we're up there. So we have to really be cognizant of that, as well as be cognizant of like our players' mental health, coaches and staff mental health. Like they're going to be going. We need to figure out times to, you know, slow it down, give them a day off, you know, because that grind is tough. And this is one of the most games ever played in the WNBA season. And then it's like the most compact season in like, I don't know the exact number, but it's like over a dozen years. So, you know, we have to, in our scheduling and planning for the season, think about that as we're making our flights, as we're, you know, booking hotels, as we're scheduling practice. We have to keep, you know, all these things in mind.
That is a lot to juggle, especially with the season in the midst of a pandemic, because that's still going on as well. So
For sure. I didn't even think about last season, crazy with all the COVID testing, and, you know, our athletic trainer handled probably like 90% of that, but, you know, it is a lot. Testing every single day, have to figure out when you're doing that, and that had to be incorporated into the schedule. So hopefully we start to see, you know, no promises with this pandemic, because it's been nothing but unpredictable. But yeah, that's definitely something to keep in mind too.
yeah. Um, One thing, and going back to being talking about analytics and whatnot. One thing that you mentioned is you mentioned like an advice for people who are trying to get into analytics and what, especially on the basketball side of things. What's something that people can be doing right now in order to kind of help educate them and get themselves prepared or be in a position in which they can land a job or even, you know, get looks at being a like a video coordinator for a team?
Yeah. So like I would say, like if there's someone that's like in college and they have a basketball team at their school. Like typically that most, I don't want to like overgeneralize, but a lot of schools can use interns. They have some sort of video software that they use. If it's not Sports Code, it's on Synergy. It's, there's a ton of those out there. And then just studying, practicing that, as well as, for the W, like the W website is a pretty good job at breaking down some like lineup analytics, advanced stats. There's books out there. I don't have any off the top of my head, but I'm reading, like last year I was reading this, basketball statistics book, but there's books out there that you can read, YouTube, like anything that will help you kind of learn different ways of looking at basketball. Like I watched like a bunch of different YouTube people that are former coaches or like aspiring coaches, current coaches that, break down the game in a way that's kind of easy to digest. So in terms of that, just start. Like that's what I would say, is just begin. I know that analytics and all the different terms and math involved especially can be daunting, but I would say just like start doing it. Take 5 minutes tomorrow to do it, get started, and build from there. And then networking obviously is important too. LinkedIn, hitting up people in the league. I would say instead of like, I get people asking for jobs like right off the bat, I would say ask for advice before doing that. Like be prepared, come up with a question that, is thought provoking, ask for advice on something rather than, hey, do you have any positions open? It's like, well, I don't really know. I don't know you. So it's kind of tough to be like, yeah, you're hired.
Right.
And it's like, I think that's important to keep in mind too.
So I guess to piggyback off of that, to mentors, like who has been your mentor or any mentors that you've had along the way to kind of get that connection and networking that you talked about?
For sure. Yeah. So, I could list 10 people, but I'll keep it between a couple. So one would be Kurt Miller, our head coach and GM. So he's the reason why I got hired at Connecticut, Connecticut Sun, as a practice player. I went to practice probably once or twice a week. I was working in grad school and interning, so I couldn't really go to every practice. So one day he took all the practice players out to eat, and he just like kind of asked us like what career path we're looking for. And that one simple thing led to him saying, hey, we'll keep you in mind if we have any, positions. And, I obviously asked him his experience with analytics and video and trying to get in that way. I applied for one position, didn't get it. And then the equipment manager position opened up. I ended up getting that position. And, I just learned the biggest thing I've learned from him is how to treat like the people that are closest to him. He demands a lot, and at times it can get like really annoying, but because he demands a lot, like that I have to up my game and be locked in, like I was talking about with UConn, to make sure that I'm organized. And that's another big thing with him, is just being super organized. He's one of the most organized people I've ever met. And, it's helped him get to where he is. So I'd say Kurt. And then at UConn, Ben Cantor, who I interned for as video coordinator. He was video coordinator. I was his intern. He really helped me, professionally. So just coming out of college, like I didn't really know how to be a professional. I knew how to work hard, do all these things, but the one biggest thing he told me, and I like won't forget it, is control what you can control. So, always be on time, be early, work hard, be locked in, ask questions, do all the right things, treat people right. So I'd say biggest two are those two, but I can list, everyone on our staff with Connecticut. Brandy Poole, assistant coach, Chris Koklanis helped me so much with video. Marissa Mosley was who hired me at BU. Now she's at Wisconsin. Like Shay Ralph, when I was at UConn as an assistant coach, she was an assistant coach. She was the one who like got me or offered me the position, I guess, quote unquote, on UConn. So, the list goes on, but like if I had to pick those two, for sure.
For sure. That sounds like an awesome list of people that I'm gonna have to go do some extensive research on when it's all said and done.
No, it's like not even I didn't even understand fully while I was at UConn. I knew that I had to, work hard and just be nice and have a good attitude the entire time I was there. I knew it would like help me going forward.
Mm-hmm.
But like since then, just seeing like how the chips have fallen, like Shay Ralph at Vanderbilt, Marissa Mosley, Wisconsin, with the Connecticut Sun, knowing a lot of people in the league now, and through that, people in the NBA, men's college, all that.
No, that's what's up. During your time as an equipment manager, did you have any scares or any stories that you would love to share? Like I know, like Amanda, she talked about how it was like somebody from another team that asked her like, "Hey, do you got like a right shoe or a left shoe, or if you got this or that?" How has it been like trying to keep up with players' equipment and stuff, and trying to make sure you get everything, get everyone's gear and stuff and whatnot.
Oh, for sure. Let's see. There's a bunch.
Yeah.
That same situation's happened to me where from the other team had to ask for sneakers, and like we ran to our practice facility, got them. Like any other team would do that for us. So that's the kind of thing that's like cool to think about. Is it's a small league, everyone knows each other. You see each equipment and operations person 3-4 times a year, so you get close, you get to know them, and everyone wants the same thing. We want to put on a good product for the fans and everyone. So that's definitely happened. I'd say two for me are an opposing team, and I definitely won't say who, but someone
Yeah,
left.
of course.
Someone on the other team left their jersey bag on the plane, so they only had their backup jerseys, which were a different color. And like 3 hours before the game, they realized this. So like the league called, we had to like get on a call and like, hey, everyone, we need to switch colors for the game. Like get a completely different set of uniforms ready. And it was a whole thing. So that happened. And then, there's always like random small things before the game as equipment manager that, like, I was listening to your interview with Amanda. It's like, if there's nothing going on before the game, it's like, this is suspicious. Something's about to happen. I can tell. So like very similar there, I would say.
So even like with the shoe situation, like you got them brand new shoes, or you gave them like some, I would be that person. Competitive advantage, hey, you get they've been worn, slightly worn shoes here, like,
I feel you on that. I feel you. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it was like they forgot them or like it broke. So, I forget exactly what the situation was, but and like the way it works with our sneakers is you get team color sneakers. So we couldn't give them orange sneakers because that, I don't really think, besides Phoenix, that would match their uniform. But I think we had to give them like the generic kinds. So like they had to deal with what we gave them.
Or gotta give him the wrong shoe size or something. Oh, she need a 13. She need 11. We got his. We only 10s.
We got 12. We got 12 and a half.
Yeah, like it'd been a little floppy on your foot.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that, but yeah.
It'd be even more messed up if you gave them the pair of shoes and then they went off in that game and went off, dropped some like almost career number type game. And I'd be like, see, we should never gave them the shoes.
Yeah. I forget what team and like what player it was, but I think I probably said something like that, like, hey, is it this person? Because if it is, then sorry, we don't have any. But no, no, that would have been bad. I think we probably I think we ended up winning, but Yeah, that's it's something that definitely pops in your head though as you're doing it. It's like, am I helping them win?
Possibly. I mean, that's one thing, from the outside in almost, that's one thing I do notice and I do love about the league is how everyone is so close knit. It's not like, nah, that team needs to stay with them. We got nothing but hate for them. Like, they competitive and also on the court, off the court, they got mad love and respect for each one.
For sure. Yeah, that's spot on there.
So another question for you is, what's been like the best day of your career, and also on the flip side, what's been like one of the worst days for your career?
I guess worst days would be anytime we get eliminated. So, um, I'll give you a best and a worst as the same one. Game 5, we made the Game 5 of the finals in 2019, and that was just such a cool thing. You're in the last possible game of the season. We didn't end up winning, but like that was something that, like, in the moment, we had something special going there. And so did, obviously, Washington was an incredible team. So, like, to bring them to 5 games, and we were within like 2 points with 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter, just coming down the stretch, and a deciding game and then WNBA finals is something I definitely will never forget. So yeah, I'd say Game 5 of the finals in 2019 would be best and worst.
But yeah, that can definitely be one of the easiest choices to make too.
Yeah.
So as being I think it's one of the last questions we have, but what's one before we go into the rapid fire, but what's one of the some of the challenges you go through as being an operations manager?
Yeah, there's a ton. So how long do we have? No. I would say, organization for me. I'm someone who just I got into my position because I just work hard, and I'm very adaptable. I would say, like, 2 of my strong suits, but with that, like, I would say an area of improvement for me personally would be being super organized and well prepared and proactive with things. So in operations, you have to really be proactive with everything. You have to think of everything before it happens and be prepared for it. So just the overall organization, like, I'm this off season working on checklist after checklist after checklist, so that we're always prepared for anything equipment related, anything travel related, like hotel, bus. Like, big thing is communication. So, like, with bus drivers, I'll communicate, like, beginning of the season, I'll send a schedule. The week of, I'll send something with the time. The day before, 2 days before, I'll get in contact with the bus driver. Like, it's just levels and levels of communication, and checking things off the list to do so that nothing's missed, because we got to get our team to where they need to be. So, like, that's the biggest thing for me, I guess, would be the organization aspect. But yeah, I would say that.
Okay. Look, it's even now, sometimes like I go through routines. I'm like, all right, if I don't put something in a certain specific place, I'm bound to
Yeah,
lose it.
yeah,
And I end up, like, the minute I put something out of place, it's a wrap. I'm not finding it. I'm calling my wife. I'm like, yo, where did I put such and such? And then she be
yeah.
the one, it's right here, right in front of your face. I'm
Where's my
like,
phone as I'm holding
yeah,
it?
yeah, for real. While you on FaceTime, where's my phone at?
No, for real. No, that's definitely been there.
Right. One final thing before we go into rapid fire. What would you tell your younger self? A younger version of you. What would you tell?
Um, like, how young?
Ooh, like just tip of your career type young.
Okay. So, yeah. I would say, while I was, I guess, at UConn, I would say try to get in more film sessions, or get in a film session, ask more questions. Because I went to every practice. I worked hard. I had tried to have the best attitude I could have. But one thing that, looking back, maybe I could have done a little differently is just, asking questions. And, as a young, 19, 20, 21-year-old at UConn with Gino, with all the pedigree, all the players and national championships and stuff, it's kind of daunting to do that. Like, how am I supposed to go up to Gino, But there's other ways of doing it. Going to the video person, assistant coaches, Shay Ralph, Chris Daly, Marissa Mosley when I was there. So I would say ask more questions, and we'll try to learn more as much as I could. But I'm happy where I'm at right now, so I'm not like mad that I didn't. But for someone else who's kind of in a similar path, just ask as many questions as you can and learn.
That's big facts. That goes with almost anything in life.
For sure. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So that concludes the first part of our podcast. So let's go ahead and go into the rapid fire, which we call the game within the game part. So it's where we just ask a little fun questions and close out the podcast. So the very first question is, are you ready to play?
Yes. Next question.
I love it. All right, let's do it. So the very first question we normally always ask is, do you prefer chocolate chip cookies, oatmeal raisin, sugar cookies, oatmeal chocolate chip, or snickerdoodle?
Chocolate chip. Definitely. I love just normal chocolate chip cookie. Underrated chocolate chip cookie is like from Subway. I know Subway is not like the most healthy option at times, but Subway chocolate chip cookies are underrated. I had one today.
No, I don't know why, but like if you ever in the mood to go to get a chocolate chip cookie, you can always go to Subway.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a bakery that's like right down the street from me that probably better as chocolate chip cookies, but can't go wrong with the Subway one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I ain't gonna say nothing. I'm gonna just leave that be. I'm gonna leave that one be. I'm gonna leave that
What?
be. I'm gonna just leave it be. I'm gonna leave it be. No.
Say it with your chest. Come on.
I think Jerron disagrees.
Just leave it be because if I can't put Subway as a. I know you said underrated, but I can't.
Underrated.
Can't. I can't even.
There's nothing wrong with a good Subway chocolate chip cookie. Like
That's like okay. So that's like saying, this is a new example, but that's like saying Taco Bell's wings are underrated.
I don't know if that's the same thing.
Yeah.
I get where you're going. I get where you're going with that, but
that's all I'm saying. Like they're not known for, they're not known for it. Yeah, they known for subs. That's what
But Juwan, there's been plenty of people that come on the pod and say Subway like makes a good chocolate chip cookie, either chocolate chip or oatmeal raisin cookie.
Yeah, nothing against oatmeal raisin either. I'll go for a nice oatmeal raisin every once in a while.
I'm gonna leave it alone. Your next question is TV shows or movies?
TV. I like TV shows. They like you can flesh out characters more. I'm a big Marvel fan, so I love all the Marvel movies, but I would say TV shows.
What's your top 5 TV shows right now?
Right now,
I should say of all time, or whatever you like to watch.
Sure,
Let's just go that route.
I love Parks and Recreation. It's a good show. That and The Office, I'll kind of put a little bit together. So that's 1 and 1A. And this is no particular order. I'm just ordering.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones. Except the ending.
Everybody hates the ending.
Yeah. I mean, it had to end some way, but
and it was trash.
A little bit.
I mean, how did y'all want it to end? Sorry, but how did you want it to end?
Yeah, no, that is a valid question for real. Like, I'm not pretending to know how it should have ended. So excellent show, one of the best shows I've ever seen, and it's in my top 5. So but yeah, so I would say that Succession right now is a great show on HBO. Let's see what else. I don't know. Breaking Bad is really good, and yeah, that's all I have in the top of my head.
Now I will say there's a new show on NBC. It's called American Auto, similar to The Office, like style wise, but
I saw
different.
ads for it.
Yeah, it's different. It's different. It's got that humor like The Office. So I mean, if you like that, it'll be it's similar in that regards. But I know a lot of people are kind of ripping on it because it's like a knockoff of The Office. Like, you can't defeat the original, but it's a different style on it, But
can't knock it till you try it. So that's something that definitely check out.
Exactly.
All right. I never John, I'm still thinking about how I would have want Game of Thrones to end. I really don't.
Because everybody talked about how bad the ending was, and I was like, okay, so I'm the same way with Power. Like, I didn't want Power to end the way it did, but I mean, it ended, and they now have created 2 other books related to it. So I mean, I can't be like, it is what it is.
I guess I'm just mad that it ended. Maybe that's just my subconscious way of being like, no, shouldn't have ended that way.
That true. Okay. All right. So now that I know that you're a Marvel person, what's your top five Marvel characters?
Okay. So, I mean, you got to have Iron Man in there. He was the original Marvel Cinematic Universe character. But there's different ways of ranking them, though, because, you can do most entertaining, you can do most powerful. So I'll kind of try to keep all that in mind. Black Panther, definitely. That's in my top 3 Marvel movies. Like, just a dope movie. Really awesome character. I love so I just saw this like recently, so it's kind of in my head, but Shang-Chi, I forget what the character's name is, but the main
Shang-Chi
character in that, that's his name. Okay.
Yeah.
He would be in there. Thor, and then WandaVision. I think it's Wanda Maximoff. That's her name.
Yeah, Wanda Maximoff.
Scarlet
Witch.
Yeah, she would destroy pretty much any Marvel character, in my opinion. She almost single-handedly took out Thanos by herself.
This is true.
She would have if she wouldn't have got all lovified or whatever she was going through at the time.
Yeah, but I would say those are definitely in my top 5 Marvel.
So have you been keeping up with Phase 4?
Yeah, so I haven't seen all the shows, but yeah, I saw Eternals. I'm not sure if like the Spider-Man ones are in.
Yeah, he's part of
So I just saw that like last week. The new one. I saw
probably one of the best movies I've seen from Marvel in quite a long time.
So good. Yeah. That might crack my top 5 for sure. Like movies. Yeah. No, it's great. I the multiverse, that's the big thing for Phase 4.
Yes.
Spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. All right. I guess let's go down the path. You already said one of them. So what's your top 5 Marvel movies?
All right. Well, Shang-Chi and Black Panther in there. Iron Man 1. Struggling with Thor Ragnarok's in there.
Okay.
So that's 4. Shit. Endgame. Okay. Spider-Man is like probably 6, but like you have to put Endgame in there. That's just the biggest.
The culmination of everything. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So I've been trying to figure out how I'm gonna ask this question. So but I'm gonna ask anyways. So
okay.
Yeah. So who's because like you gotta be careful how you ask these questions. So who's your favorite 5 to watch in the WNBA right now?
Oh, that's why you trying to yeah.
Favorite 5
I'm
to
trying
watch.
to get the man in trouble.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Connecticut Sun included, because if that's the case, I'm picking our starting 5. So Connecticut Sun not included.
Yeah.
Okay, because gotta be careful there.
I got you.
Yeah, see, that's me trying to set the man up
I'm
already.
not. I'm
Jesus
not. That's what I'm
Christ.
saying. I'm like, all right, look.
Jonquel Jones, Alyssa Thomas.
Exactly. Yeah.
Besides Connecticut Sun players, I would say DT definitely. And BG. So they're DT and BG. You got to put Stewie in there. Damn, that's a tough question to watch. When Enrique's on, she's one of the most fun players in the league to watch when she's hitting. Not that she's not hitting ever, but like, when she's on it, when she's on one, she's fun to watch. So that's 4, right? I mean, I have to have Subert in there, but I'll go 6 instead, because Subert and DT are obvious legendary choices. I mean, Candace, mad respect to her, but there's so many others I can put in there. Deladon. Think of others.
It's a pretty lengthy list. There's a lot of great players right now.
Yeah, and there's so many I can put in there, but yeah, 1 through 11 on Connecticut Sun. That's my answer.
Okay,
locking in.
Yeah, Desmond just trying to set people up in 2022. That's what it is already.
I'm not.
Jeez.
I'm
not. Yeah. You just did. You just lobbed it up there and just let it float. It was just sitting there, just like that, just floating. You just threw it up there.
But see, he knew what I was trying to add, so he was like, "I'm just adding." Look, we ain't gonna talk about the time you almost got CT in trouble. That episode ain't aired yet.
Yeah. I did. I just kind of forgot. It was mid conversation. You just rolling with it. I forgot, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot." You really can't say because you actually part of that team. But never mind. Is what it is. So what about your top 5 NBA players that you like to watch?
Steph, KD, Giannis, LeBron, and I cannot wait to watch Clay tonight. Those 5.
Clay is back.
Kyrie too. Shoot.
I love watching Kyrie. Yeah, I love watching Kyrie
when he's on. He's different. But I love when Clay's on. No one's hotter than him in the league. Like that 37-point quarter that he had, that 60-point game with 11 dribbles.
Yeah, that's a crazy
I just
stat.
hope he comes back as at least maybe not the same player, but I mean, with the injuries that he sustained, I mean, I'm gonna give him some time to kind of adjust back to the flow. But
you got to for sure.
I hope he comes back at least a version of what he was before. Because if not, he still be able to shoot regardless. But I don't know how effective he will be, because he's a two-way player at that. At the end of the day, so he's known for defense and shooting.
But he took his time too. So hopefully, that time helped him.
Yeah. For sure.
Mm-hmm.
No, definitely excited about that.
They play at 8 tonight? Is it 8:30?
Think so. Yeah, it's a little later.
Yeah, we'll be almost wrapped up with everything by then. So all right. So if you can go pro in any other sport other than basketball, what would it be?
If I could go pro, golf.
Okay.
That would be the one. I'm not good at golf, but I would say just like
golf.
being able to go outside and play, and just different places around the world, just beautiful weather everywhere. Yeah, I would say golf. Trying to think, there's another one that I would say. No, golf would be the one.
Okay.
How about you guys?
No one's never asked us that question.
Yeah. we made it so far without having to answer
never
that
asked
question.
me that question, so I don't really. I probably would say tennis. I mean, I played tennis in high school, so I would probably say tennis. I was a tennis guy. I like tennis.
Tennis, similar, outside, all over the world.
Yeah,
the tennis pro.
Get to play on the clay courts. Get to go to France, Australia, U.S.,
England. Yeah,
England. Yeah, So yeah, I think I'll do tennis.
Nice.
That'd be mine.
I'm gonna avoid my obvious choices with basketball and I'm gonna pick soccer.
That's a good one.
You don't even know about soccer. Why would you pick soccer? You know nothing about soccer.
Okay,
most popular sport in the world.
He knows nothing about soccer. We had a soccer guest on here. We had a soccer guest on here. He literally was just. He leaned on me for everything. I was bearing the load of basically the whole thing.
Your back no idea.
My back was hurt. I didn't know nothing about it.
I didn't know none of the players. I know a lot about soccer. I just didn't know.
But that's a part of it. You have to know at least the play. Like you have to know the players.
You don't necessarily have to know.
You got at least know the top. You got at least know the top players in the sport at the time, at least.
I only know like 3 players.
I don't think he knows the 3. I don't think he even knows the 3. I think he knows like 1 or 2.
We're gonna glaze past that.
I'm just saying.
It's like that. Just saying. All right, so look, if I can't choose soccer because
you keep soccer. No, you keep soccer. You keep
gotta
soccer.
Stick with your answer, man.
You keep yours. Yours. I'm just saying you didn't know nothing about it. That's all I'm saying. That's all.
I was gonna throw another one out there. The other one, I'm gonna throw it out there anyways. The other one will be bowling.
Not bad. Have you seen that? Who's that bowler? He's like, who do you think you are? I am. Was that like viral clip from like 15 years ago or something like that? 10 years ago. Weber.
Yeah, Weber.
Yeah, Pete Weber. Oh my God.
Good bowler. Great bowler.
Very good bowler.
If I had a secondary one, this is a very odd.
Yeah, what is your odd one?
Curling.
Yes. Okay.
Curling.
Now, you can't say that on me, Desmond. I watch curling. Every Olympics. Every time it comes on, I watch curling. I would prefer to play curling if I could.
My problem is I don't even know what curling is, so that's why I'm like curling.
Well, when the Olympics come on, the Winter Olympics come on, you watch curling. It's gonna be on February 5th or 6th, whenever the Olympics come back. Winter Olympics come on, you watch curling. I'm telling you, it's fun. It's a fun game. You got your brooms out there, you sweeping. You got the little stones, you throwing them. You got a nice pose that they do. The posing is what I like. It's the pose.
Very important.
Yeah. When you get that little hand going in the pose, it's perfect. It's beautiful.
You got the sweeping.
Yeah, you got your sweepers. Yep. Beautiful.
Ask you next question. I don't even know what to say.
You look at it like, well, wow, that's great. You're talking about me in soccer, but yeah, curling. Yeah, I'm gonna say it. All right. What's your favorite pair of shoe?
I gotta go with Kobe's. We had team sneakers a couple years ago. Came out with Kobe's. They're just my favorite to play. I forget the exact number. 13. I don't want to mess it up, but just any Kobe's going up would be my go-to like playing ones, and then Air Force off the court.
Air Force Oneer. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
all white or black? What color? What color? You got a different color you go for? What?
I have a white. It's like white and gray and black.
Okay.
It's a different colors, kind of like almost camo-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not a huge like sneakerhead, but being in the equipment for a couple years now, I'm starting to learn a little bit.
I mean, some of the players probably get you on game too, because I know a lot of females are sneakerheads undercover that people don't know because they love their shoes, regardless if they playing sports, if it's heels, shoes, whatever. They like, hey, this mat complements this with the best. It's like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. No, speaking of that though, we have a few on our team that are big time into shoes. Alyssa Thomas and Natisha Heidemann, two are come to mind. But right now on the Connecticut Sun, all social media platforms, there's they're doing like a drip competition. So if guys want to vote on that, I think they come out every day, like they show a picture with two of our players next to each other, and then you have to vote on like who has the best drip. So that just kind of put that in my head.
I'm going with Dejanay Carrington on that one.
She's the number 1 seed. So.
Yeah, but I think I'm going with her on that one. just from seeing, I think I'm gonna go with her.
She's got some style.
I almost feel like that's a cheat. But all right, we'll go with the next question. Your favorite sports moment that you either seen or witnessed?
I mean, just I would say I'm gonna cheat and do 2. The first one, non-basketball, is I'm not sure if you guys remember Derek Jeter. He's playing the Red Sox, and he like ran back towards like the left field stands, caught the ball, and like dove into the stands and like busted his face up.
Yep.
That is my favorite, probably sports play I've seen as it was happening. And then just like the UConn championships, I went to the Final Four a couple times when they won. And it's just a cool experience to see, them finishing their journey that way.
Yeah,
I was there for 2015 and 2016.
Okay.
So I would say non-basketball would be the Derek Jeter for sure.
Gotcha. All right. So if you
How
could
about you
take
guys?
over.
Right back to you.
Oh, geez. Here he goes. He's coming back with another one.
That's the last time I'll do that.
You go first, Desmond. I'm thinking on mine. So I got one, but I think go ahead.
Yeah. For me, the first one that comes to I got a couple of couple. So one of the first one that comes to mind is when the White Sox went in the World Series. It's only because I was watching it with my mom, so definitely.
No, that's great.
Now my favorite one that I've witnessed, and it's kind of a heartbreaking, is when it was playoffs, WNBA playoffs, either first or second round. It's Indiana Fever versus Minnesota Lynx, and this is when Maya's still playing, and I think Fever was up at the time. It was like 2 seconds left. We all knew who was gonna get the ball, who was gonna take the last shot, and Maya Moore gets the ball. You do a pump fake. Melissa Coleman goes by, do a one dribble to the right, shoots 3, hits the game, hit the shot at the buzzer. The whole crowd just silence. Yo, what just happened?
You knew this was coming too.
Yeah, like you just knew it was coming too.
Yeah.
So that's my favorite moment. I called it before it happened. I recorded it on my phone. I was sitting courtside seats for it too. Favorite sports moment.
Yeah, she's a legend.
Well, let's see. Mine would be, I got 2. So when Kobe won his last title with the Lakers, against, who was that, the Celtics that they won that against?
I think so. Yeah, that was Celtics in 7.
Yep. And then when Tom Brady and the Patriots came back on the Falcons in the Super Bowl.
That was wild.
Me being a Patriot fan and a Laker fan, it was just like, oh, geez, okay, 2 different things. But I was in my basement. We were watching the game. I had a Super Bowl party. We were watching the game. My friends were all yeah, it's over, man. This is great. This is over. Like, how do you
Wrap it
feel?
up.
You know, sitting there with the jersey on, like, and just like, oh, this is horrible. And then halftime, I'm like, I feel like we got a chance. Like, you crazy. You know you're going to come back from 20-some points down. I said, we have a chance, guys. In the fourth quarter came, I said, if Tom Brady, if they get the ball back, I said, if he comes down and he ties it, I said, we're going to win this game. And they was like, nah, you crazy. But then people started betting me. I was like, okay, put your money down. He's like, nah, we cool. I was like, all right, okay. And then when they came back and won, I'm like, y'all would have been broke sitting up in this house right now. And I would have been happy eating my chicken. Like, hey, I told you that was going to happen.
Hosted the party and made money.
Yeah, exactly. So those are my two for sure.
Nice.
I was about to say, any organization, what organization would you take over? Any organization in the world you could take over, which one would you choose? I mean, this could be Chase Bank. It could be, the government. We've heard the government. We've heard the Olympic Committee, Apple, whoever. Doesn't matter. Whoever you want to take over, who would you choose?
I'll exclude the WNBA, I guess. So,
yeah, we don't want you to get in trouble.
Yeah, that's a good question. I need a minute for that one. I'm gonna stick with sports, and I've been a Giants fan, New York Giants, my whole life. So,
the football Giants.
It's been a tough decade. I would say New York football Giants try to figure something out there. Yeah, it's been pretty tough, but
I just watched what y'all did earlier. That was bad. Quarterback sneak on third down.
I was not watching.
It was like third and like 20. They did a quarterback sneak. It's like, what is going on here? What are we doing? What are we doing?
So, okay. So, with you being a Giants fan, I have a question for you. Would you have rather preferred them drafting Justin Fields versus them trading the pick away to the Bears in order to get Justin?
I mean, that's it's hard to kind of look back with that, but I still think Daniel Jones. I don't know if he is the answer, but
yeah,
I think he could be. I think if you give him pieces around him, he could turn into something. I think we should give him another year in terms of like, should we not have? I'm not really sure, but I think one more year, Daniel Jones. I think that we should try to get some picks though. And I'm not sure what to do with Saquon either. He's so good. He's such a talented player, but
he's glass though.
Yeah, and like you could probably get so much back for him too.
Oh, you could.
Yeah. Like a team that's like on the cusp, like get picks, just rebuild. Yeah. I think it's definitely a rebuilding stage for the Giants, but I would pick the Giants.
Okay. You don't want Justice Fields either. You don't want.
No disrespect to him.
Let the Bears fans keep him. Let the Bears fans keep him.
I have a few Bears fans as friends, and yeah.
They'll be disappointed soon enough. Just we'll let them keep him. We'll let them keep that guy.
I've been disappointed this whole, so it ain't nothing new.
Didn't y'all get a win today though?
No,
y'all lost that game?
Yeah.
Against the Vikings?
31-17. 31-17. And we'll see. There was a pick six. There was another pick after that pick six. Justin Jefferson almost broke the Randy Moss record. I think he was about like 10 yards short. Yeah, typical fashion, Bears fashion. Go out with a nice loss. I think he went for it on every fourth down and never converted a fourth down all day. I think. Man. So yeah, let's just say I'm glad that I'm done with my Bears misery and I can move on to focusing on Sundays to other things such as trying to graduate with my master's. And Also, look forward to watching some more women's college basketball games on Sundays, since a lot of it comes out. But I'm greatly happy and appreciative that we can put to rest the Bear season. R.I.P.
He
God
really
bless.
got going, Peter. You see what I did there?
We'll get them next year. Yeah, well, Desmond, we got them next year. They're out. 2020, 2022 is our year.
Oh my God.
It's been tough. It's been tough. Man, Juwan push a button. All right. Anyways, the hardest question of them all, we're going to have to ask it. Peter, where can people go ahead and follow you and keep up your career and keep up with everything you got going forward?
So I don't really like post too much on social media, but I think my handle would be for Instagram. I go on Instagram sometimes. Peter Feeney 38, I believe. If you want to see how the team I'm working for is doing, follow Connecticut Sun on all social media platforms. That's what I would say. Most of my posts are probably just about them anyway.
That's quite all right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. Go ahead, give Peter a follow, and also give a Connecticut Sun a follow if you haven't follow them. If you're a fan, go ahead and follow all the teams in the WNBA. Why not keep up with all the latest news that they got going on? Keep up with everything that is going on. For all the fans, listeners, subscribers, go ahead and give us a follow and listen on Twitter. That's CTG_podcast. Also on Instagram, it's CTG_podcast. On Facebook and YouTube, it's Capturing the Game podcast. We can also be found on your favorite podcast platform, whether it be Google Podcasts, Anchor, Spotify, Apple, you name it, whatever your favorite podcast platform it is, we're on there. Peter, it's been awesome. It's been fun catching up with you and get a chance to get to know you. And as you hear about my Bears rant, thank you for being a part of today's interview.
For sure. No, thanks for having me. This was really fun. You guys are great.